investigative. This is KXAN News at noon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We had some unexpected rain this morning, and Mark Monstrola has a look at the rest of our day. Mark?
Around 10:30 or so, we dried things out across the entire viewing area, Brian, but recently we've seen another cell pop up across the KXAN viewing area right over central Williamson County. Georgetown, you're seeing a pretty hefty area of rain and even some lightning strikes within that cell there. 7 in the last 10 minutes alone, and you can see the little white dots if you look closely on the screen as to where those lightning strikes have been, as we have some very heavy rain just to the south of Gerald, down I-35, just to the west now of Georgetown, heading southbound, as we had a decent amount of rain in a short period of time this morning. Notable numbers: Jollyville about 1/4 of an inch, Lake Bastrop about 1.1 inches, and LaGrange had just over 6/10 of an inch. If you'd like to see what you had this morning, you can go on to KXAN.com. We're going to talk much more about this right here on Viper Radar, and what you can expect for the second half of the day coming up in First Warning Weather.
We are following breaking news for you right now. 2 Texas Longhorn football players have been charged with sexual assault and suspended indefinitely from the team. Junior receiver Kendall Sanders and redshirt freshman receiver Montrell Meander were booked into the Travis County Jail this morning and released on bond. They are charged in connection with a June 21st incident at San Jacinto Hall on the UT campus. According to a police affidavit, a woman had consensual sex with Meander, but withdrew her consent when Sanders showed up, and then she accuses the 2 men of forcing themselves on her. Officers noted Sanders and Meander began texting each other, trying to get their story straight during their interviews with investigators. The Longhorns head coach Charlie Strong released a statement regarding the charges. He says, quote, "It's been made clear to everyone on our team that treating women with respect is one of our core values, and I'm extremely disappointed that 2 young men in our program have been accused of not doing that. With the recent charges against them, they've been suspended indefinitely from our football team and will no longer participate in any team functions." UT police plan to hold a press conference about the situation at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll be live streaming that on KXAN.com. Sanders was the Longhorns' 3rd leading receiver last year, but was suspended in their opener for a DWI. We'll have the latest on the sexual assault case on KXAN News at 5 o'clock. We continue to follow developing news from this morning. A commercial jet with 116 people on board disappeared off radar today, flying over a part of northwest Africa. According to a flight operator, Air Algeria Flight 5017 from Burkina Faso, bound for Algeria, likely crashed in northern Mali. Government officials in France and Burkina Faso say the plane's last message asked air control in Niger for permission to change its route because of heavy rain in the area. 50 people on the plane were French nationals. French forces are now actively looking for the plane. No Americans were on board. The bodies of more victims of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 arrived in the Netherlands today. But back in eastern Ukraine, the plane's wreckage remains scattered over the crash site. NBC's Keir Simmons takes a closer look.
Good day to you. It kind of takes your breath away that it's possible to stand here this close to the wreckage of MH17 and that the fighting continues about 15 miles in that direction. And that is where those Ukrainian fighter jets were downed yesterday. And in amongst this wreckage is still people's possessions. Across here, for example, where there was this fireball, one of many that happened during the crash, you can see parts of the plane, but also people's suitcases. There are shoes here, people's bags. Sometimes your eyes have to focus a little bit on something to figure out what it was, but you can see aircraft seats and all kinds of the bits and pieces that will be on a commercial airliner. The investigators who are here have been searching this field in the distance there. You can see there is still wreckage there, so none of that has even begun to be picked up. People's personal possessions have not been gathered together, and worse than that, today we saw a piece of human remains still marked by a white flag that hadn't been collected. Next to it was a child's seatbelt and a child's shoe that looked like that little one was about 2 years old. So even while in the Netherlands they are trying to give the people who died here some kind of dignity, here it's incredibly disturbing that people are still being treated with such disrespect. Back to you.
Also overseas, Secretary of State John Kerry is back in Egypt after spending a day in Israel. He's pushing for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas militants in Gaza. U.S. officials say there are signs of progress to end the violence, but each side still has a list of demands they want to discuss before coming to an agreement. Just this morning, Israeli tanks hit a compound housing a United Nations school in northern Gaza. At least 15 people died and dozens were injured. Ambulances brought the wounded to a hospital in Gaza City. The school was the fourth UN facility hit since the Israeli operation began on July 8th. So far, nearly 700 Palestinians and 36 Israelis have died in this conflict. The fighting started more than 2 weeks ago. It was sparked by the killings of 3 Israeli teenagers, followed by a Palestinian teen. This all comes as Israel's new president takes office today. Reuven Rivlin replaces outgoing President Shimon Peres. He was elected by Israel's parliament earlier this year. Benjamin Netanyahu remains Israel's highly visible prime minister. State lawmakers are headed to the border today to talk about human trafficking. They're meeting in the border town of La Jolla near McAllen. The hearing will tackle ways the state can combat human trafficking and how to help the victims. And smuggling operations can also put Central Texans in danger. This is video from earlier this year out of Fayette County, east of Austin. Deputies chased and eventually caught up with a suspected smuggler and 3 of the immigrants in the SUV. President Obama also has a team in South Texas to investigate whether the National Guard should be deployed to help with the border crisis. That's according to Reuters. A White House official says they're working closely with the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense on how to respond to the growing number of unaccompanied immigrant children crossing into the U.S. illegally. This comes just days after Governor Perry ordered 1,000 Texas National Guard troops to the border. Right now, state lawmakers are looking at how to improve safety for children in the foster care system. The state licenses 220 foster child placing agencies. Speaking at today's hearing, we'll talk about current welfare system policies and contracts. They're looking at ways children in the system can report neglect or abuse. And there will be time for public comments. Advocates from Texans Care for Children are among the speakers. They'll ask lawmakers to reduce caseloads and improve training standards for foster parents.
If CPS caseworkers are overworked and don't have time to build trust with the child on their caseload, get to know that child, the child is not going to feel safe to report possible abuse and neglect that is occurring in the home.
The Department of Family and Protective Services approved a new set of safety rules in April. In addition, an independent review outlined ways CPS can operate better. It said CPS caseworkers must be able to spend more time with the children and less time working on unnecessary paperwork. In the past year, there have been 2 foster child deaths blamed on abuse and neglect. Right now, investigators are looking into what happened to 2 siblings in Georgetown. A 6-year-old girl and her 4-year-old brother drowned in Lake Georgetown earlier this month. Police say the 2 were trying to see who could hold their breath the longest. The kids were under the care of a foster family. The state says the agency that places foster kids in homes is shut down until that investigation is complete. Right now, police in North Texas need your help finding a missing person. They're looking for Bob McCustian, who is 87 years old, possibly with dementia, and he may be in the Austin area. McCustian was last seen by his family in Arlington around 10:30 yesterday morning, but police believe he could be headed to Austin because 2 of his children live here. He's described as 6'2", about 135 pounds, wearing a black blazer, a blue plaid shirt, and black corduroy pants. McCustian's believed to be driving a 2002 Dodge Durango with Texas license plate MSH 502. If you have any information, call 911. Mark is here with a first look at our forecast.
Well, a lot of us now seeing blue skies and sunshine, Brian, after the first round of rainfall moved by this morning. And as we recap that shower activity that moved on through, we started 4 o'clock this morning, 4 a.m. That was just getting its act together. This was all brand new. It just blossomed over northeastern parts of central Texas. And as the morning went on, it dropped right through the viewing area. Right around 10 to 11 o'clock, it really began to wrap up. with the exception of this last cell that's beginning to now march its way southbound towards Cedar Park. Look how red that cell is. We're getting some serious downpours within that small little batch of showers, and yeah, even some thunderstorms included in there. 7 lightning strikes within the last 10 minutes or so, and even with all the rain we had this morning, we're warming up into the mid-80s, even some low 90s out there. We'll let you know how warm it will get today, this weekend. If any more rain is on the way, we'll talk all about it in First Warning Weather.
Right now, Facebook is helping local business owners get a boost. Kate Whitehall has details.
Good afternoon. Well, throughout the day, about 1,000 small business owners and folks maybe just who are interested in starting a business are going to be making their way over here to the Austin Music Hall, and they're going to be sitting in those seats listening to the experts on how to really start a business and expand if they're looking to do that. And it's all called Facebook Fit. Folks who are attending will be able to hear from local business owners about how they have utilized Facebook advertising to attract customers. For example, Yeti Coolers talked about how they're able to not just target hunters, but those who might be interested in something specific like dove hunting and create advertisements just for them. Facebook's director for small business development says 30 million small businesses are already utilizing the social media site in some capacity.
Businesses with lots of different objectives are using Facebook, whether it's to build their brand, to build local awareness, or to actually make direct sales if they're an e-commerce shop. We're even seeing mobile app developers really taking advantage of Facebook now as well to reach new customers.
The event is sold out, but if you would like more information about it, we have that for you on our website at KXAN.com. At the Austin Music Hall, Kate Whitehall, KXAN News.
A nationwide fruit recall has customers on alert this morning. We'll look at the best ways to protect your family from contaminated produce. And if you think it takes too long to type in your phone password, you'll want to listen to this story, why a tattoo, temporary tattoo, could be the newest smartphone accessory. Welcome back once again to KXAN News at noon. 12:15 is your time. Beautiful look at our state capitol this afternoon. We're going to talk to Mark about your forecast after the early morning rain that's coming up. An Associated Press investigation revealed some businesses receiving money from the Texas Emerging Technology Fund are not what they seem. The program is designed to bring high-paying jobs and innovation to the state, but the AP review found one of the companies actually operates in California. Others have stalled while trying to find more capital, and a few have even forfeited their right to do business in Texas by not filing tax reports. Governor Rick Perry has distributed more than $200 million of taxpayer money to several tech startups through the program. A spokeswoman insists his office conducts regular compliance checks of the fund, and she says fluctuating business activity and employment numbers are just the nature of the startup business. Well, if unlocking your phone just isn't quick enough to satisfy your information needs, there is now a temporary tattoo that will unlock your phone with a simple flick of the wrist. The Huffington Post shows the new Moto X smartphone accessory in action. Users who don't want to take the time to unlock their phones manually can now wear this sticker that lasts for 5 days to give them instant access. A pack of 10 replacements costs $10. And just like that, you could get your weather information, Mark.
Doesn't seem like it's that expensive. $10 for 10 replacements?
Yeah.
It's not too shabby.
Maybe worth it.
Yeah, and well, you want to make sure you're on top of the weather here today because we do have another strong thunderstorm developing in central Williamson County, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment as more pop-up storms are to come. That's already being shown in Williamson County this afternoon as we had our first line of showers and storms move by this morning. Gave some areas, especially east of I-35, an inch of rain. However, after today, it's nothing but heat, humidity, and sunshine, at least for the next 6 days. On the 7th day, next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about something a little different as a cold front, another rare July cold front may be coming through, and we're going to talk more about that and what it'll do for our weather momentarily as well. But let's start off with that cell over central Williamson County. Everyone else is fairly quiet with the exception Lake Buchanan seeing a little tiny bit of rain, but this particular storm here, 46 lightning strikes within the last 10 minutes alone. This thing is really starting to crank up. Now, there aren't any watches or warnings out associated with this one just yet, but it is certainly producing as we are going to put on our what we call our Barron button here on our radar. producing roughly a 1-inch hail prediction by the radar here, where the purples are, and that's some serious hail if it actually is falling at this point. Then that's what the radar's picking up on. Well, there isn't any watches or warnings out. If there was 1-inch hail, if it truly was in there, there might be a warning out on that storm already. But there likely is at least some hail, gusty winds, and some heavy downpours. So be careful across central Williamson County this afternoon as temperatures are sitting in the mid-80s in most locations, 85. And not only is it warm, but the rain this morning beginning to evaporate, so it's muggy. When you throw that into the equation, it feels about 10 degrees warmer out there. 94 degrees is your heat index right now. As highs today as you drive home from work, mid to upper 90s with a few scattered showers and storms. So keep the umbrellas around as everything should calm down after dark tonight and leave us relatively quiet with just a few passing clouds through the overnight period. 76 degrees for the overnight low. And then after the rain is gone after sunset tonight, we are clean and clear as far as showers are concerned, as we're expecting mainly sunny skies Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 98 degrees tomorrow. We'll get back to 99 both Saturday and Sunday afternoon. But take a look at Wednesday. We start to drop off on the thermometers a little bit. Why? Well, there's a cold front that may be headed our way. And if in fact that does happen, which models are starting to indicate now that's more and more likely, slightly cooler air will dive in. We'll probably see some showers and storms as the heat and the cooler air collide. But after it passes by, the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook shows that the beginning of August could be much cooler than normal. So we may be saying goodbye, at least for a little while, to the upper 90s and near 100-degree temperatures. Brian, over to you.
All right, thanks, Mark. A developing story out of central Austin. KXAN has learned the Capital Area Food Bank will close the doors to its food pantry next week. But Angie Bevan explains closing the pantry is actually designed to serve more people.
This food pantry on East St. John Street has served needy families in the neighborhood for nearly 5 years. But the Capital Area Food Bank won't be staying there.
Our space is up for renewal, and it is going up quite a bit in cost. And we feel a deep responsibility at the food bank to use donor dollars and community dollars in the most efficient way possible.
The news worried volunteers who pour hours of time and energy into the place. They say every week people form a long line outside their doors.
The shelves inside this pantry might look a little picked over now. That's because families come through here every Wednesday morning. Volunteers tell us today they had more than 150 families. That's more than 500 people served.
Joanna Linden says the good deeds won't be jeopardized. In fact, she says the money saved will help get more food to those who need it.
We are going to actually take our mobile food pantry truck out there that serves up to 400 families, and we're going to go twice a month.
She says they're changing with the times to keep up with the growing needs of our community. In Austin, Angie Bevan, KXAN News.
Capital Area Food Bank says it would like to open more pantries like the one it's closing if they can make it work. A fruit recall at Summers Peak has some major retailers and their customers on alert today. Fears of listeria contamination triggered a nationwide recall of popular fruits, including peaches, nectarines, and plums. They came from major outlets like Walmart, Trader Joe's, and Costco. We have the list online at KXAN.com, but the recall is a good reminder of some food safety practices. Inspect produce to make sure it's not bruised or damaged. Also refrigerate pre-cut produce. Wash fruits and vegetables even if you don't plan to eat the skin. And scrub items like cucumbers and melons with a clean brush. Also, drying with a clean paper towel can help further reduce the chance of bacteria. We're right back with more of your news and weather after the break. Welcome back. Bad news continues for General Motors. The company is adding more than 700,000 cars and trucks to its already long recall list. GM says the problems range from a broken screw that could cause the front seats to move up and down freely, to problems with some welds, to problems with power steering. GM says it's aware of 2 crashes and 3 injuries, but no deaths associated with these problems. The automaker has now recalled nearly 30 million vehicles since the start of the year. That's a record for any automaker and more than half the vehicles recalled by the industry as a whole. A warning for parents this morning. There's a crib recall to tell you about. It involves 4 models of the Oof Sparrow brand cribs that were sold in a variety of colors. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the crib slats or spindles along with the top rail can detach, possibly causing a child to get stuck. If you're affected by the recall, you can receive a free repair kit. You might have noticed your packages are a little later getting to your door. A new report from the U.S. Postal Service Office of Inspector General says more mail deliveries are missing their evening deadline. That's because of cost-cutting measures and a shrinking workforce. The report focused on Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Richmond and Arlington, Virginia, and South Florida. Mail there is delivered after 5 p.m. about 70% of the time. Their goal is to complete deliveries before 5 o'clock 95% of the time. This comes just days after UPS announced it's expanding its early AM service. Now, nearly 90% of the country can get deliveries by 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., and the service is available for Austin zip codes. As the crises in Ukraine and Gaza intensify, the president is heading to the West Coast for a fundraiser. We'll tell you why lawmakers say Mr. Obama could be sending the wrong message. Also new today, 2 UT football players charged with sexually assaulting a woman on the UT campus. We have details of their arrest and the statement from Coach Charlie Strong. Welcome back. We continue to follow breaking news this afternoon. 2 Texas Longhorn football players have been charged with sexual assault and suspended indefinitely from the team. Junior receiver Kendall Sanders and redshirt freshman receiver Montrell Meander were booked into Travis County Jail this morning and released on bond. They are charged in connection with a June 21st incident at the San Jacinto Hall on the UT campus. According to a police affidavit, a woman had consensual sex with Meander, but withdrew her consent when Sanders arrived, and she accuses the 2 men of then forcing themselves on her. Officers noted that Sanders and Meander began texting each other, trying to get their story straight during their interviews with investigators. The Longhorns head coach Charlie Strong then released a statement regarding the charges. He says, quote, "It's been made clear to everyone on our team that treating women with respect is one of our core values, and I'm extremely disappointed that 2 young men in our program have been accused of not doing that. With the recent charges against them, they've been suspended indefinitely from our football team and will no longer participate in any team functions." UT police plan to hold a press conference about the situation at 1 o'clock. We will be live streaming that on KXAN.com. Sanders was the Longhorns' 3rd leading receiver last year, but was suspended in their opener for a DWI. We'll have the latest in the sexual assault case on KXAN News at 5 o'clock. Today marks 1 week since the crash of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. The plane was allegedly shot down over eastern Ukraine by a ground-to-air missile. Today, more victims are being returned to their homelands. The first of 40 of the coffins started arriving yesterday. Meanwhile, Ukraine remains an active and dangerous war zone. Separatists are taking credit for taking down 2 Ukrainian military jets. And back in the U.S. on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are considering tougher sanctions against Russia. As the crisis in Ukraine deepens and the heavy fighting between Israel and Hamas rages on, President Obama is having to defend his decision to make a trip to the West Coast for a fundraiser. NBC's Peter Alexander reports.
With the world's eyes glued to a pair of international crises in Ukraine and the Middle East, President Obama is taking heat for sticking to his travel plans. Greeted by protests, even as he attends a series of political fundraisers during a 3-day West Coast swing.
Bottom line is President Obama should be showing leadership, not raising money. Symbolism is essential to leadership.
Even some Democrats have questioned the White House's approach.
I'm not going to tell the president what to do, but I think the world would very much respect his increased attention on this matter.
Sensitive to sending the wrong message, the president passed on an invitation to appear on Jimmy Kimmel this week. But top advisors defend Mr. Obama's ability to juggle multiple responsibilities at once.
The fact that he's doing some events on the West Coast related to fundraising takes nothing away from his ability to get on the phone with a foreign leader if he needs to.
The president is also being challenged for failing to stand up more aggressively to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Time magazine's new headline reads, "Cold War II, the West is losing Putin's dangerous game."
I don't understand what Vladimir Putin is supposed to be winning. He's got to be the most isolated leader in the world as we speak.
Still, for President Obama, raising money for Democrats during a time of crisis carries political risks.
The more he does it, the greater the risk that he looks detached and partisan, that he's really not doing the job he was elected for.
Officials in Taiwan are investigating what caused a twin-engine turboprop plane to crash, killing at least 48 people. Taiwan's Civil Aeronautics Administration says the plane crashed Wednesday when it tried to land in Taiwan's Penghu Islands. Officials say 10 other people were injured in the crash and 5 people on the ground were also hurt. The cause of the crash is unknown right now. Taiwan's transportation minister said one of the flight data recorders has been recovered and investigators will examine the crash site today. Right now, state lawmakers are looking at how to improve safety for children in the foster care system. The state licenses 220 foster child placing agencies, and speakers at today's hearing will talk about current welfare system policies and contracts. They're looking at ways children in the system can report neglect or abuse. And there will be time for public comments as well. Advocates from Texans Care for Children are among the speakers. They'll ask lawmakers to reduce caseloads and improve training standards for foster parents. Today, supporters and family of a local man on death row rallied outside of the Bastrop County Courthouse. Rodney Reed was convicted of raping and murdering 19-year-old Stacy Stites back in 1996. Last week, a judge set his execution date for January. Today, supporters are calling on the Bastrop County judge to drop the execution date while more DNA evidence gets tested. Reed's family and the Innocence Project argue the wrong person may be in prison. Mark has another look at our forecast coming off of early morning rain, Mark.
Yeah, and speaking of that early morning rain, KXAN.com, a great place to go to stay not only ahead of the storms, but if you'd like to go back and recap what happened in your backyard from earlier this morning, you can always jump on there and take a look at one of the hundreds of reporting sites we have from courtesy of the LCRA when it comes to rainfall totals. Slew of them on our website. You can check that out at any time, and we're still keeping an eye on showers and storms right now as Profiler Radar picks up on a very strong storm making its way from east to west across southern Williamson County. We'll let you know what we're expecting from that and for the rest of the day coming up in First Warning Weather.
Also, it will be one of the greenest ways to learn in Central Texas. We take you inside the new ACC Highland campus next. Welcome back this afternoon. Austin Community College receives millions of dollars in taxpayer money, and they gave us an inside look at how they're trying to be good stewards of that money by implementing new green initiatives at their newest campus. KXAN's Natalie Stoll went along for the tour.
This is a sneak peek at Austin Community College's new Highland campus. Students like Danielle Henderson are spreading the word on social media. She's studying architecture and engineering.
The flow of it, the lighting, everything, the design of it. So, I'm only 2 semesters in, but, there's so much that I can see and appreciate about it.
You can see the natural light, the power of it.
The design is open, modern, and energy efficient. From the heating and cooling systems to lighting, a 170-foot skylight lets sunshine all the way down to the first floor. And then there's the building itself.
Just from a sustainable standpoint, taking an existing building and finding a new life for it.
The old JCPenney building is now classrooms, a library, and the accelerator, where more than 600 computer stations stretch the length of a football field. The roof over it all also plays a part.
It just seemed like a natural progression of ideas with the size of the roof that we have, really collecting the water. Don't let it go to waste.
The 17,000 gallons of water each tank here collects gets reused right here on campus, flushing the toilets.
The building is awesome, but really the focus here is education, which is something that I take personally very serious.
Students to really just get together.
Danielle says ultimately this reimagined building will help her be a better student. In Central Austin, Natalie Stoll, KXAN News.
That campus will be open in time for the start of the fall semester at the end of August. Then in November, voters will help shape ACC's future with 2 bond proposals totaling more than $386 million. Phase 2 of the Highland campus is part of Prop 1. If it passes, Highland Mall would get repurposed as a regional workforce center, a regional health science center, digital creative media center, and a culinary and hospitality center. If both bond proposals pass, the average homeowner can expect to pay an extra $40 a year in property taxes. Well, it's no secret that traffic in Austin is tough, but do you know how much it costs? The big price tag for waiting and rough roads. Plus, the latest on the outbreak of measles in Texas. Welcome back. After a sluggish start to the year, this week's unemployment numbers are some of the best in years. Today, the Labor Department reports weekly applications for unemployment dropped to 284,000, or about 6.1%. That's the lowest number since September of 2008. In a separate report, the government says job openings are at their highest level in 7 years. Despite a booming Texas economy, a new report suggests many Texans don't have the skills to fill the best jobs. The state comptroller says we need to train workers smarter. Comptroller Susan Combs says the biggest skills gaps are among high and middle skill jobs. That's because it only takes about 5 years before a college education in a technical field is outdated. In the report, the comptroller argues some of the best jobs don't require a college degree, but rather the right training. Do you know how much Central Texas traffic is costing you? A group called TRIP estimates Austin drivers lose about $1,700 a year, all because of traffic and rough roads. If they aren't addressed, researchers say they'll be paying even more. Lawmakers claim they have a solution. They hope Texas voters will say yes to a constitutional amendment this November.
They're going to continue, if this passes in November, seeing orange barrels and barricades in their communities and expect for them to get those priorities that they want and they need for safety and congestion. That's what they can expect when this passes in November.
The Transportation Fund would use rainy day money from oil and gas production. If passed, they plan to put more than $1 billion into Texas roads and infrastructure. We have a traffic alert to tell you about in San Marcos. Today, Short Street from Hopkins to I-35 will permanently close. It's part of a plan for continuous flow intersections in that area. Access to businesses on Short Street will still be available from the I-35 frontage road. If you're interested in learning more about the continuous flow project in San Marcos, we have more at KXAN.com. In Washington today, the Senate is moving toward passing an $11 billion measure to temporarily fix a shortfall in highway and transit programs. They're expected to pass a House bill that would keep the Federal Highway Trust Fund solvent through May of 2015. The money would come from pension tax changes, customs fees, and a fund to repair leaking underground fuel storage tanks. There were travel troubles for people in Dallas this morning. Check out this video. A big road sign fell onto a busy interstate, 820 north of Fort Worth. Police say a driver crashed into the sign, bringing it down on the roadway. Crews were brought in with bulldozers to get the rubble off of the roadway, but what a mess for the morning commute.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And we had storms that blew through to cause even more of a mess this morning.
And more possibly blowing through.
Actually, there's one right now that we're keeping a very close eye on. Hasn't met any severe criteria just yet. We have no watches or warnings out associated with it, but it's certainly strengthening and very quickly. The beginning of the hour, it had 6 to 9 lightning strikes associated with it within the last 10 minutes time. Now, 108 lightning strikes. That's a big signifier that this storm is certainly strengthening as it moves from west to east across now the border of Burnett County and Williamson County, right along essentially we have Highway 29 there between Georgetown and Burnett, and it's headed right at Marble Falls. So we're going to keep a very close eye on it. Again, all those white dots you see embedded within that storm are the lightning strikes that we're currently seeing, and we even have another little tiny cell there to the south of Burnett, right in between Marble Falls and Burnett, that looks like it is starting to get its act together too. So we could see these two storms kind of merge as time wears on. Bertram, by the way, you should probably get maybe indoors for a little bit. You maybe be getting hit with some heavy downpours and frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. You're probably already hearing and seeing the flashes and hearing the rumbles out there this afternoon. And this is good news for the Highland Lakes, though. This is all over the definitely the watershed there for Lake Travis and Lake Buchanan, and that's what we like to hear. And we could hopefully keep it underneath that severe criteria. That would be the best of all worlds. But we zoom things back out. As of right now, that's the only thing happening locally. But we're not out of the woods just yet. Let's jump over to future clouds and radar here. We started off at 1 o'clock this afternoon. It's predicting that we are, in fact, going to see enough instability out there through the afternoon hours, at least the early afternoon, to hold on to the chance for more scattered showers and storms. We just went from 1 o'clock to 3:30 on the timestamp right there. This is our high-definition weather model you can only catch here on KXAN. And notice the reds and thrown around the metro, Hill Country, and eastern communities. These aren't exact locations where these storms are going to pop up. It's just an indicator that instability is out there because we got the sunshine after this morning's rain. The rainfall that did fall evaporated back into the skies. That provided even more fuel, and you could feel the fuel out there in the form of the humidity for some storms to work off of. And as we get through the afternoon, we could certainly see more of them develop and move on by. But by 7 o'clock, really by sunset, we'll say, we should lose the energy we had out there this afternoon and will likely dry out through the overnight period and into the day tomorrow. Until then, we're in the mid-80s right now downtown, 91 in Llano. You factor in that humidity and it feels like the mid-90s across the board. That's how oppressively humid it is out there. Our heat index values later today, or what it feels like to the skin when you factor in the humidity, might get as high as the low 100s with a high today of 96, partly cloudy skies with a small chance for scattered showers and possible thunderstorms that will likely fade away after dark. And it will be a quiet evening tonight. We're expecting just a few passing clouds, warm and muggy still though, 76 for that overnight low. And then from here, with the storm moving out of the way and high pressure taking control again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mainly sunny all weekend long. Highs right around the 98 to 99 degrees. But take a look at what we have in store, possibly for the middle of next week. Another rare July cold front. What will that do? Well, it may bring along with it cooler than normal temperatures for the beginning of August, which is very rare for this time of year. So the light may be at the end of the tunnel, Brian, for those who just are tired of the heat.
All right, thanks, Mark. Well, we told you about how abortion clinics have started closing after new Texas rules, and a study shows the abortion rate is going down. The Texas Policy Evaluation Project released a report saying Texas saw a 13% decline in abortions from this past November through April compared to the year before. That translates to 9,200 fewer abortions over those 6 months than the year before. The number of abortions has been declining for several years, but researchers say this is a steeper decline than we've seen in the past. A parasite is making its way around Texas that could cause you to have some stomach issues. State health officials say 77 cases of cyclosporiasis have been reported around Texas this year. 69 of those happened in the last month alone. Officials are trying to trace the origin of the bug, which is spread through food and water. They say washing your produce may help, but cooking is the best way to kill it. We'll be right back with your top story this afternoon. Welcome back this afternoon. We are following developing news for you right now. 2 Texas Longhorn football players have been charged with sexual assault and suspended indefinitely from the team. Junior receiver Kendall Sanders and redshirt freshman receiver Montrell Meander were booked into the Travis County Jail this morning and later released on bond. UT Police plan to hold a press conference about this in just a few minutes. We will be live streaming that on our website at KXAN.com. Let's get one more check of your afternoon forecast from Mark.
Yeah, we're just going to jump over to Viper radar quickly because we do have a storm that we're going to keep a very close eye on over the next hour or two, see what happens with it. 105 lightning strikes within the last 10 minutes or so, ballpark. Wow. So it's strengthening as it goes over toward Burnett and Marble Falls. Once today's over, there's still a 30% chance for rain today. Once today's over, it's sunshine through the weekend with highs right around 99 degrees.
All right, thanks, Mark. Thank you for watching KXAN News at noon. Have a great Thursday.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sally Hernandez.
I'm Brian Sanders. 4:30 on this Friday morning. Happy Friday to you. Let's see how the roads look.
Roads are looking good so far for Friday morning. Let's hope they stay that way throughout this whole show. Of course, when things start to build, we'll certainly let you know.
Okay.
Okay, so yesterday, how hot was it?
We made it back to 94 because of the rain.
Okay.
Yeah, it kept us down a little bit, but today, without the rainfall coming through, we are going to see numbers really take off again as temperatures this morning are at 77 degrees, or warm and humid again. That's been the case for quite a while now, so that's the norm underneath partly to mainly clear skies. There are a few passing clouds here and there, and other than that, there probably won't be much passing through those skies later today. The sun will come up, and that will allow us to get temperatures back into the 90s, maybe even near 100 degrees for daytime highs today, as we are expecting mainly sunny conditions all day long. 75 in Burnet, good morning to you. A happy Friday in San Marcos. You're also at 75, and Lockhart checking in at 77. Downtown, we'll say 99 for our daytime high. Heat index values, yep, they'll be back in the 100s again today. Southwesterly winds at 5 to 10, and have the sunglasses around. And I think you may want to schedule some time to get to the pool this weekend. We're going to tell you why and just how hot it's going to be coming up in First Warning Weather.
Okay, Mark, thank you. New overnight, we're following even more violence in the Middle East.
One person is dead in the West Bank after Israeli soldiers clashed with Palestinian demonstrators in Gaza. A Palestinian medical official said Israeli soldiers also shot and wounded 200 others. Israel radio said the protests in the West Bank appeared to be the largest in years. This morning, an Israeli defense official says the Israeli cabinet will meet to discuss ceasefire efforts. They're also considering expanding their ground operation in Gaza. Palestinian health officials say the Gaza death toll has now gone up to 808. 34 Israelis have also been killed. U.S. airline carriers can continue service to Israel after the FAA lifted a ban on flying into the country this morning. United Airlines has a flight on the way to Tel Aviv right now. Delta and American Airlines say they're still evaluating their plans.
You know, a tornado with winds packing 100 miles per hour struck a camp along the Atlantic coast in Virginia. 2 people were killed, 35 others were injured. Now, survivors say they cannot believe they made it out alive.
I thought we were going to die. I just saw everything flip, and first thing you think is is your daughter dead?
More than 1,000 families were vacationing in that area when the tornado hit. On the West Coast, more than 2,500 firefighters continue to battle a massive wildfire in Washington state. Heavy rains there over the last 2 days have helped and hurt the firefighters as those storms brought lightning and hail, forcing them to leave the front lines. Now, the fire is more than half contained this morning. More than 400 square miles, though, have already burned.
2 University of Texas football players are off the team and kicked out of their dorms following their arrest for sexual assault.
UT head coach Charlie Strong suspended Kendall Sanders and Montrell Meander after police say they assaulted a woman in Meander's dorm room. Police say the victim knew both men as friends and had consensual sex with Meander, but when Sanders showed up, police say the victim withdrew her consent. Now, the woman reportedly told Sanders no, but he's accused of continuing, as is Meander. Now, the University Police Department says they conducted a thorough investigation and the players did not get any kind of special treatment.
We don't share information. It simply does not matter who committed the offense, what stature they are.
And court documents indicate the evidence in the case may include text messages that the men made to each other, allegedly, to get their story straight during questioning. They and their attorney, though, had no comment after bonding out of jail.
Well, we wanted to give you a better idea of the scope of this problem. Schools are required to tell the federal government about crimes at the university. Between 2010 and 2012, UT reported 19 sexual assaults on campus and 26 off campus. Compare that to Texas A&M, which has about the same enrollment. They reported 13 on campus and 5 off campus. And at Texas State University in San Marcos, 6 sexual assault cases were reported on campus, none reported off campus. The school has an enrollment of just over 35,000 people. Looking even further, UT says so far this year they've only had 3 reports of sexual assaults on campus, including this most recent involving the football players. But the Austin Police Crime Tracker website shows a lot more cases in their territory. APD has jurisdiction in West Campus, where many students live. Since August of last year, APD has investigated 22 sexual assault reports.
4:34 is the time right now, and at least one of the men believed to be behind a robbery spree in Austin is behind bars this morning. Police say 32-year-old Marcelo Christian Douglas. After pulling him over on a traffic stop, he was arrested. Investigators say Douglas's license plate partially matched that of a car seen on surveillance video at the Texaco on South Pleasant Valley. Well, Douglas and two other men are accused of going inside the store, demanding money from the cashier, and then taking off. Police believe they are behind the other robberies that we've seen around town. We have a map of the areas that are being hit up, according to police. They say the men pulled off 8 armed robberies in the last 2 months.
A group of Austin police officers are suing APD in court. 18 former detectives with the Organized Crime Division filed a lawsuit claiming they were replaced by younger officers last year. Back in February, KXAN spoke with one of the officers after he filed a complaint with the Texas Workforce Commission. The new civil suit also argues the detectives were replaced by primarily white officers. 3 years ago, the city of Austin was ordered to pay 29 other officers $1.5 million in damages in a similar age and race discrimination claim. An appeal of that ruling was upheld this year.
A new report suggests legalizing same-sex marriage in Texas could be a big boost to the Texas economy. Now, the Williams Institute at UCLA reports that the legalization of gay marriage could have an economic impact of nearly $196 million in the first 3 years alone. That number comes in part from an estimated 23,000 same-sex marriages, with an average of $6,000 spent per wedding.
On things like florists, wedding venues, a lot of which helps low-income people. Remember, the low-income people are typically employees of wedding venues in food services.
And the report also predicts that more than 1,500 jobs would be created if Texas would change the law. Now, some local governments in Central Texas have taken small steps to cater to same-sex couples. In October of 2012, the Pflugerville Independent School District became the first in the state to offer insurance benefits for domestic and same-sex partners. And they told us today 2 employees are actually using that coverage. Austin ISD followed up months later by adding benefits that went into effect last September. Back then, the district expected about 200 people to take part in that coverage. The city of Austin also offers benefits for domestic and same-sex couples. They say about 320 employees take part in that program.
Austin is really getting into the soccer spirit this season. The Austin Aztecs is welcoming a soccer competition to Austin today. The Southern Conference Championships for the Premier Development League are taking place at House Park this weekend. We're also hearing that youth soccer programs around Austin are filling up faster than usual this year. That comes, of course, after all the World Cup excitement in Austin.
Also today, the YMCA of Austin is hosting its 2014 Summer Camp Olympics right here in Austin, happening from 9 in the morning to 1 o'clock at the Texas School for the Deaf. More than 700 campers from Travis and Hayes County are going to be there. They will compete in everything from marbles and tic-tac-toe to foot sponge relays. And of course, they're going to have some water slides.
Best field day ever.
Yeah.
Wonder what the weather will look like.
They're going to have a beautiful day today, tomorrow, and on Sunday. It's going to be a wonderful weekend, as a matter of fact, and we're starting it off with a quiet and dry Friday morning drive. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s in most locations. A couple of us inching toward the 80-degree mark. We'll share what your temperature is outside of your door coming up, but you know, mainly cloudy skies are on the way, clear skies rather, on the way, and we'll share it with you coming up.
And a quick look over at our text dot, I-35 at 51st, dry roadways here, as you can see, no major delay north or southbound.
Plus, if you're looking for some fun ways to wind down your week, we have a scoop on free things to do around town, including a Looney Tunes show.
Good morning, everyone. 5:41 is your time. On this Friday, a live picture from the Austonian weather camera, where later tonight you can enjoy a free concert under the stars. Just one of the many events happening around town with our friends from Free Fun in Austin. They are recommending this weekend.
6 p.m. tonight is the final night of the Bullock Museum's free summer concert series called Music Under the Star.
And south of Austin, head on over to Kyle to cool off. Tonight at the city's pool with a free movie screening of Surf's Up. There are specific instructions about this event, and we have it for you on our website. It's KXAN.com.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. Oh well, I'll just ask this jet in the fancy knickerbockers. I beg your pardon me, sir, but could you direct me to the shortest route to the Coachella Valley and the Big Carrot Festival therein?
Relive some of the best moments from Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes gang. There's a free showing tonight at 8:30. It takes place inside the Fellowship at Schofield Farms.
You know what? If you missed that list, no problem. We have it for you on our website, KXAN.com. You can look it over and then plan your weekend and some other events that are on our list as well.
Well, it isn't too early to start shopping for the school year. Why experts say people in Texas could get some of the best deals next weekend.
Thousands of students are studying to retake the STAR exam this summer. So we're going to get an in-depth look at just how much these repeat tests are costing the school districts.
Welcome back. 4:45 this morning. A fifth of Texas students are failing the STAR exam. Last night in a KXAN in-depth report, we revealed those numbers. At the top of the subjects they fail are math and reading.
You have to have something, I know that, but to make it to a point where we keep a child back, especially if their grades are passing, then something's wrong.
As a result, thousands are training and retesting this summer in hopes of moving on to the next grade and hopefully staying on track to graduate. But all that retesting is costing you, the taxpayer, a lot of extra money. We took a closer look at Round Rock ISD, and officials there say they spend nearly $400,000 getting kids ready for the retakes. More than $387,000 of that money is spent on staffing. The other $11,000 is spent on supplies. Next month, state lawmakers, the same ones who put the testing rules in place, will meet at the state capitol to weigh the latest STAR results and consider possible legislation to improve the testing system. KXAN will be at that meeting and will stay on top of this story. Ahead of that, we reached out to the chairs of the House and Senate Education Committees. Representative Jimmy Don Aycock says he's concerned thousands of high school students are still not on track to graduate, but he believes if they had not cut the number of end-of-course exams, half of Texas high school students would not be on track to graduate. However, after 3 years with the STAR exam, we've seen very little improvement in the results, and with previous state tests, students made drastic gains after the first year it rolled out. This weekend, our political team will take a closer look at this debate. Join us Sunday morning at 8:30 for State of Texas in depth here on KXAN. Meantime, retail experts say starting your back-to-school shopping this weekend can pay off big in savings. The National Retail Federation finds that 1 in 5 families actually plans to spend less this year. That means competition among retailers is already heating up.
Really deep discounts on wardrobe basics. So blue jeans, socks, underwear, sneakers. These types of items are being heavily discounted.
Consumer Reports says they have prices on electronics slashed 30 to 50%. It also adds that shoppers in 16 states, including Texas, will really have an opportunity to save starting next weekend because of sales tax holidays.
Now, first warning weather and traffic.
Oh, we finally made it to Friday morning. What a weather week it has been. Yesterday, we dealt with the showers and thunderstorms yesterday morning on our drive in, although it was great to see some rain totals piling up across the area. But as we head into this weekend, heat, sunshine, and more heat headed our way. Let's get right to it. 77 degrees outside right now. Clear to partly cloudy skies as we have a couple of fair weather clouds moving through from time to time. Dew points at 71, so still sticky out there as numbers across the board sit either in the lower 70s as we're seeing in the hill country or roughly the mid to upper 70s as noticed from the metro area east. 77 from Flatonia to LaGrange, Lockhart, and yes, into downtown Austin early this morning. Satellite and radar doesn't have much here as we have mainly clear skies raining with us overnight through the morning hours, and as we get up and get going here, other than a few of those passing clouds, don't expect much to come through the skies today. Partly to mainly sunny this afternoon. 99 for the daytime high, heat index as high as 105. So it's going to be a steamy day today and a warm and muggy but quiet night tonight with a few passing clouds again. We'll drop to 75 for your low. And an in-depth look at your weekend. Yeah, you want to get poolside, or at least try to this weekend, but if you do, make sure you have the sunscreen. UV index will be very high. Burn times 15 minutes or less for the exposed skin. 101 on Saturday, 99 on Sunday. Now, we could see some morning fog Sunday, but then we'll break it out and get some afternoon sunshine with lows both days. Right around 75 to 76 degrees. So a steamy weekend on the way, and we're just going to keep that going into next week. 100 on Monday, but take a look at Tuesday evening, Wednesday, and Thursday. Big drop-off in the thermometers between Wednesday and Thursday, and here's why. Cold front expected to shoot through the middle of next week. That will bring us some rainfall, 20 to 30% chances there. And, yes, some much cooler air, cooler than normal numbers expected through the first week of August from the Climate Prediction Center. We've been talking about this for a couple of days now, and it's starting to look more and more like that just might be the case. Mandy, over to you.
All right, thanks, Mark. As we go over to our maps this morning, a couple things to update you on. We already have an early morning crash working on East Riverside Drive right before you hit those main lanes of Ben White Boulevard. So if you're going to be heading out the door here, maybe using Riverside to reach the airport, just plan to watch for emergency crews in the area. An update on some construction we had our eye on from earlier this week. 6th and 7th Street were closed between Congress and Brazos as Austin Water was repairing wastewater lines. That project has now wrapped and all lanes are back open in that part of downtown. That is your first warning traffic at 4:50. Another update in only 10.
If you have a great idea for technology and education, there's a program here in Austin just for you. We'll have more on a 3-day startup event happening this weekend.
In total, 4 players away from the Longhorns football program after yesterday, plus Tony Romo feeling great heading into his 9th season as a starter. Late last night, multiple reports out that defensive backs Shavosky Collins and running back Jalen Overstreet have been dismissed from the team. OrangeBloods.com first reported the story. And Strong's first 7 months as head coach of the Longhorns have seen him reinforce his reputation as a disciplinarian. Earlier this week, reports that 4 players were barred from the Moncrief Athletics Center for the summer. Turns out Collins and Overstreet were in fact 2 of those players, according to Orange Bloods. They were all 4 locked out, according to Strong, for reasons like not going to class, not doing what they were told, and for, quote, little things. Now, while none of those 4 players broke the law, it still gives insight into the culture Strong is trying to cultivate.
The thing they have to do is just they have to earn their right back, and they'll be given the opportunity to earn their right back, but they still have some work to do. It's very simple. You know, we make this business hard. We make things very hard. Just do what you're supposed to do. And you know, I look at these 4 guys to my right. They've done everything we ask of them. So if you're part of a team, if you can't do what we ask of you, then you probably need to go start your own team.
Of course, Collins and Overstreet's dismissal comes on the heels of Kendall Sanders and Montrell Meander being indefinitely suspended from the team after being charged with sexual assault. Sanders, an Athens, Texas native, was heading into his junior year for the Longhorns last year. He was 3rd on the team in receptions and total yards with just 1 touchdown in 2 years. He played in 23 games, starting 7. Meander, right there, was coming into his 2nd year on campus. He redshirted last season, but came in as a 3-star recruit out of Palo Duro High School in Amarillo, where he played both defense and offense, but once on campus, he was working exclusively as a receiver. Now, while most of the team is already on campus, the rest of the Longhorns will report Sunday, August 3rd, and then start practice on the 4th. Meanwhile, the Texans report for training camp later today and hold their first practice tomorrow at 8 in the morning in Houston. But all of that's old news for the Cowboys. Dallas, with its first full practice of training camp yesterday, Tony Romo was told he was 100% good to go for training camp after having back surgery in December. But Romo is more optimistic now about his future heading into this, his 9th season as the Cowboys starter, than he's ever been.
Over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, you'll see the best version of me that I've had throughout my career, and that's for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, I really believe that, and I think that'll show, as we go forward.
That's your first look at sports. I'm Chris Tavares.
All right, it is 4 minutes till 5 o'clock. Let's head over to Mark for the latest look at your Friday forecast.
Thanks a lot, Sally. Good morning, everyone. Well, with the rain we had yesterday, well, the mold has really exploded up to 4,600. So it might be a little problematic for you, but there will be plenty of sunshine and opportunity to get outside this weekend. We'll share it with you coming up.
And as we take a look now over at I-35 at 51st, still very peaceful to end your work week. Of course, we're going to update you if we spot any major delays kicking in.
Also, Ukraine, the plane crash is hitting home, especially for one Austinite. We're going to talk to a woman whose best friend was in the flight that was shot down last week. Good morning, everyone. It is 5 o'clock. Thank you so much for waking up with us. I'm Sally Atmondis.
I'm Brian Sanders. Happy Friday to you and good morning to you. And pretty quiet on the roads, huh?
Very quiet. It's definitely going to be an easier commute than what we saw yesterday with some of that rainfall. So a good way to end the work week.
All right.
I know we're looking forward to the weekend, but we got to get through today.
Yeah, the sunshine, the heat, the warmth, we're going to have it all weekend long, as a matter of fact. So we got the rain out of the way yesterday, and that's always good to see. We wanted that rainfall desperately, and we got good amounts, which you can find your number from your neighborhood on our website, KXAN.com. We have the rainfall totals up there for you. Meanwhile, the rain has vacated our skies, and we're left with just a few passing clouds. 76 outside right now. Warm and muggy again, 77 in Giddings and in LaGrange, and we're generally in the low to mid 70s to start off the day. But we're going to tack on about 20 to 25 more degrees before it's all said and done. 99 for your daytime high. Heat index values with the humidity around again, right around 105 with mainly sunny skies anticipated all day long. So take the sunglasses with you and light winds out of the southwest, and it may even warm up more by the time we get into the day tomorrow. We'll tell you about that and how long the sunny, hot conditions will last coming up in First Warning Weather.
3 Central American presidents are in Washington today, blaming the U.S. for the recent influx of children crossing the border without their parents.
Presidents of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador are meeting with President Obama, and they say immigrants are fleeing drug violence and that America is the dealer's biggest client. And they're also pointing fingers at lawmakers for not passing immigration reform.
It is a matter that arises, we believe, from the lack of clarity, not to say the ambiguity, that has become the hallmark of the policies and the debates that are being carried on.
President Obama's request for $3.7 billion in emergency funding is stuck on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers appear unlikely to resolve their differences before leaving Washington late next week for an annual recess. Now, they can revisit the issue when they come back in September, but that's when they have to focus on the budget. So the chances of passing a bill in September, that remains unlikely. So take a look at this map. New information from the government shows Texas, New York, Florida and California are receiving the most children caught crossing the U.S. border. Now, children are placed in government shelters and then released to sponsors while they go through the deportation proceedings. And in many cases, the sponsors are the children's parents, other relatives, or a family friend. And the influx of undocumented children coming into the U.S. has prompted family members to offer their fingerprints in order to be reunited. Workers at the Dallas Family Services Center say requests have doubled in the last few weeks. Officials use the fingerprints for background checks to make sure the children are going to be safe. Now, nearly 60,000 unaccompanied minors have crossed the U.S. border. That is just since October. And you know, the search is on this morning for the shooters who killed 2 Mexican police officers and a young girl near the border in El Paso, or near El Paso rather, in Juarez. Cameras on the El Paso side of the border captured emergency vehicles arriving at the scene. Mexican officials say the suspects riding in a black Honda headed for the Rio Grande, where they may have tossed the weapon into the river. Now, Border Patrol and armed agents with Homeland Security combed the river looking for the weapon, but they didn't find anything.
The recent string of plane crashes and the alleged shoot-down of Malaysia Airlines are now raising issues about air travel, safety, and security. Global aviation leaders are meeting in Montreal next week to address those issues. France, meantime, has sent a military team to Mali this morning to secure the crash site of an Air Algérie plane. They found no survivors, but did recover one of the plane's black boxes. The plane went down yesterday morning while heading into a powerful storm. It was on its way from Burkina Faso to Algeria on the Mediterranean coast. 116 people were on board. Investigators are also on the scene of another deadly plane crash, this time in Taiwan. 58 people were on board the commuter aircraft on Wednesday when it tried to land during stormy weather. 48 were killed, 10 survived. Both crashes have happened since a Malaysia Airlines jet was allegedly shot down over eastern Ukraine last week. This morning, that wreckage is still scattered over an area stretching for several miles. And while many bodies have been taken to the Netherlands to be identified, some remain on the ground. The plane was shot down by a ground-to-air missile. The international tragedy is hitting home, especially for an Austin woman.
Her best friend was on that flight that was shot down over Ukraine. And our Sophia Beausoleil sat down with Catherine Campbell, and her best friend is Carlin Kaiser. And Carlene, was on board the Malaysia Airlines jet. Now, Kaiser was a Dutch student working on her PhD in chemistry in the U.S. She and her boyfriend were heading to Indonesia on one last trip before school started up again. Well, Campbell and Carlene were roommates in Indiana. But more than that, they were best friends.
My heart sunk to my stomach at first, and it just felt like knives all through my body. She made me have fun, even if I was a little hesitant. She enjoyed being outdoors and enjoyed being on the lake.
Carlene was supposed to fly to Austin later this year to spend Thanksgiving with Catherine.
5:05 is your time this morning. Charles Schwab will bring more than 800 jobs to Austin after receiving millions of dollars in incentives. The financial service company is expanding its Austin operations, creating 823 jobs and bringing $210 million in investment over the next decade. As a part of $4.5 million deal with the Texas Enterprise Fund, they will also bring more than 400 jobs to El Paso. The Texas Enterprise Fund was created by Governor Rick Perry more than a decade ago, and it uses incentives to recruit new business to Texas. Since 2003, the governor's office says the Enterprise Fund has invested nearly $560 million and has generated more than 75,000 jobs. But some lawmakers aren't as excited about the program as the governor. That includes the two major candidates running for governor. Republican Greg Abbott has signaled unease with the program. He says the state shouldn't be picking winners and losers in business. Democrat Wendy Davis authored a bill in the Senate last year that orders the first audit of the Enterprise Fund since it launched. The Enterprise Fund will run out of money next year unless new funding is approved. And Austin has become one of the leading cities in the U.S. for a number of education startup companies.
And that's why beginning today, Capital Factory will host an event for innovators, teachers, and just about anyone with an idea to try and create a product. Kate Whiteout joining us live in the studio this morning with your details. Morning.
Good morning. Well, this three-day event called Startup Weekend Education, it's really an opportunity for anyone with an idea, or maybe you just want to join a team working on an idea to build a startup by working with coaches and mentors. Capital Factory, a co-working and incubator space in downtown Austin, is hosting the event. Right now, the education tech industry is a $7 billion business with lots of ideas out there. This conference hopes to foster more technology. One product that this kind of weekend helps shape is called Aceable Driver's Education. They're working to transform the way teens take driver's education class by becoming the first company to put their course on a mobile device. The idea is to let teens use their idle time to get something done.
Get it on their phone and my iPad, do it right there in the backseat of the car. One of our students, she finished driver's ed after she completed her finals in the classroom. She had two options, play on her phone or take a nap.
If you want to take part, Startup Weekend Education is today through Sunday. You do need to register. The cost is $99, and that does include breakfast, lunch, and dinner most days. And while this is the first education startup conference in Austin, if you can't attend, they plan to hold these twice a year as this industry continues to grow. Sally?
Okay, Kate, thank you. 5:07 right now, and disability rights advocates in Austin have filed dozens of lawsuits all over a lack of accessibility. Now, most of these lawsuits were against companies like Uber, Lyft, and Yellow Cab. The advocates say the companies don't do enough to get wheelchair accessible vehicles to the people who need them.
For years, we've been fighting this fight and struggling to struggle with Yellow Cab to get more wheelchair accessible cabs. They have wheelchair accessible cabs. It's just so difficult to get one when you call for them.
Now, we reached out to Uber, Lyft, and Yellow Cab for a response, and a spokesperson for Uber said they hadn't seen the lawsuit just yet, but their technology increases transportation access for everyone, they say, including those with disabilities. A Lyft spokeswoman said the same. Now, Yellow Cab responded saying they have sought additional permits in Austin dedicated to wheelchair accessible vehicles, and a company spokesperson also said Yellow Cab enthusiastically supports stronger ordinances and reasonable means of enforcement to assure that all persons with disabilities receive equivalent transportation services. That is a quote. Now, you can read more about the lawsuit this morning by searching for this story right now on KXAN.com.
A local nonprofit known for helping Texans with legal help is celebrating its grand reopening today. The Texas Civil Rights Project was forced to find a temporary home last October after an electrical fire. That fire caused an estimated $100,000 in damage. And today, the group is celebrating the renovations at their East Austin office on Montopolis Drive.
You know, honeybees are helping Travis County inmates with life after jail. Today, the first set of inmates enrolled in a beekeeper program will graduate. The American Honeybee Protection Agency is helping with the pilot program, and it gives inmates the chance to learn about beekeeping and a new set of job skills that they can use when they're out in society. So 5:09 right now, and Mark has the latest on your forecast. Just need to get through Friday first.
I think we can do it.
Yeah, one more day to go before we hit that weekend, but today's weather will be very similar to what we'll see both Saturday and Sunday. Big high pressure back in control. The rain chances have faded away for this 3-day stretch, which will include mainly sunny skies. By the way, that last day should say Sunday, not Friday there, as we are expecting mainly sunny skies today, tomorrow, and yes, Sunday afternoon. 99 for your high today, and it's going to be very humid still. The rain from yesterday evaporating back into the atmosphere, and look what our heat index forecast model has for us at 5 p.m. 103 to 107 in look range. What it feels like to the skin under the shade, and not even being in the sunshine. So it's going to be a very hot day today, and we're going to do it again tomorrow by hitting the triple digits. 101 on Saturday afternoon for your daytime high. Sunglasses necessary again. Plenty of sunshine, and we'll keep that going into Sunday afternoon with a high of 99 degrees. It was great to see that rain yesterday. We got 1/10 of an inch or below at Camp Mabry and at ABIA, but there were many communities with more than an inch of rain, which is great to hear, and some of that will in fact make it into the Highland Lakes. We'll show you those lake levels, and we'll get you the rest of your 7-day forecast coming up.
And as we go to the roads now, it'll be an easier drive than yesterday, well, until that rush hour kicks in and slows everything down area wide. Let's take a look. An earlier crash still showing up here. This came in just before 5 a.m. on East Riverside Drive as you make your way and approach Ben White Boulevard. So a heads up, maybe if you have an early morning flight and you're using Riverside to cut through the east side and get onto 71, then head to ABIA. Just watch for some of those emergency crews. No words of any blocked lanes, but it could slow down drivers in that particular spot. And keep in mind, once again, just another update here that all lanes are back open downtown at 6 and 7 streets between Congress and Brazos. They were closed earlier this week for some water line repairs in that area. One final look area wide, and as you can see, very peaceful on the roadways this morning. Now we do have a traffic alert for drivers in southwest Austin. Expect delays in the northbound lanes of William Cannon Drive between Escarpment Boulevard and Highway 290. TxDOT is closing those lanes so they can work on a project that will improve traffic flow at the intersection at Highway 290. Now that lane will reopen Monday morning at 5 a.m.
Okay, thank you. NASA is supposed to launch a space rocket in 2017, but now officials are saying it may not happen. We'll tell you why.
Plus, your refreshments might taste a little different the next time you head to the Circuit of the Americas. Why the track is switching to a local food provider. Welcome back on this Friday morning. The Circuit of the Americas is going local with food and drink vendors. A COTA spokesperson says they've terminated their contract with Sodexo, and they're going with Ryan Sanders Sports Services instead. That's the Round Rock-based company founded by famed pitcher Nolan Ryan. The new company has a big job to fill. During last fall's Formula One race, Sodexo ordered about 4 million napkins and enough hot dogs to go around the track 3 times. NASA may not have the money to launch a new deep space rocket by 2017. That's according to a report from the Government Accountability Office. The office estimates NASA may need an additional $400 million added to the project to meet the December 2017 deadline for launch. NASA acknowledged there's a 90% chance at this time the rocket will not make its launch date.
Now, first warning weather and traffic.
Well, good morning, everyone, as we start off on this Friday morning with our weather headlines, as we will near the triple digits again today. We had a day yesterday which kept us a little cooler thanks to the morning and afternoon rainfall. We had a high of 94 downtown, but blue skies and sunshine are on tap for us, not only today, but all weekend long. So we'll flirt with the triple digits throughout the weekend with sunny skies expected all the way even into the middle of next week. But another rare summer cold front may be on the way. Hard to believe that July is our second highest rainfall total we've had in any month so far this year. We still have a week to go. It's usually one of the drier months of the year, and we have in fact dried out this morning, and we're going to stay dry today. A few passing clouds overhead right now. 76 and light winds from the southwest. Still humid though. Certainly feel that as you step outside. 72 in Llano, 72 in Fredericksburg as well. Low 70s in the hill country. You start inching closer to the mid and upper 70s the further east you go. Bastrop, good Friday morning to you. Now it's 76. Satellite and radar composite shows as we go through the overnight and into this morning, not a whole lot going on out there with high pressure once again taking over. That little disturbance that came through yesterday is now long gone, and we are looking at sunny skies as a result for the rest of the day today. 99 degrees for your high, but then you factor in the humidity, and we're talking about a heat index which could reach 105, maybe 106 degrees in some spots today. So keep the sunglasses around, the bottle of water, and most certainly wear the sunscreen if you'll be out and about. Not only today, but all weekend long. UV index will be very high this weekend. 75 overnight tonight. A few passing clouds, but a quiet evening. And taking a look at this upcoming weekend, 101 for your daytime high tomorrow. It's a good day to get poolside or possibly out to the lake. Whatever you got to do to stay cool, keep yourself in your body of water. 99 on Sunday as we shave off 2 degrees with some morning fog and afternoon sun to wrap up the weekend. And your UV index, as mentioned before, very high. So burn times without the sunscreen on, 15 minutes or less. Back to the 7-day forecast. Look at Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, though. After that stretch of sunny days over the next 4, we start to see some rain chances enter the picture. Reason why? Well, a cold front. Wednesday afternoon and evening expected to come on through. There's that second rare cold front of the summer that potentially we may see come on by in the middle of next week. Slightly cooler air coming in behind it, possibly some rain showers along with it as well. And look what happens as a result after it crosses by. Normal high for this time of year, right around 97 degrees. Cooler than normal temperatures expected through much of the first week of August. It could be a nice little change from the triple digits, or at least near triple digit temperatures we've had as of late. Mandy, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Friday morning for you now. So far, starting off very quiet on the roadways and definitely dry when it comes to those main lanes as well. One issue that we are keeping our eye on here is a crash on East Riverside right before you hit Ben White Boulevard. That's a big heads up for anyone that maybe uses that roadway to help them reach ABIA. No word of any blocked lanes, and according to the maps here, it's not causing really any backup. I just want to give you a heads up for those crews that are on scene. It's been working here since just before 5 a.m. Other than that, though, your commute is still easy breezy area wide, and we'll let you know when things start to pick up and build on the roadways.
A new study is giving you yet another reason not to work the overnight shift. How researchers say your job hours are linked to diabetes. Plus, doctors make a big breakthrough in HIV research, the new compound that could become a cure.
Welcome back, everyone. 5:24 is your time right now. And in your health news this morning, researchers have announced a major step forward in the battle against AIDS and HIV. Doctors in Philadelphia say they were able to successfully eliminate the virus from cultured human cells for the first time. Now, human cells with the virus were treated with the compound, and HIV began to disappear.
One can develop strategy and take this one to clinic and basically cure AIDS patient.
Well, the doctors say it may take years to perfect the cure. They say different patients will probably need their own versions of the solution. And a new report from the CDC finds HPV vaccination rates among teens, that remains very low. The latest study finds just over half of teen girls and a third of teen boys have received that vaccine. Experts say doctors should give the HPV vaccine at the same time they give teens their meningitis and whooping cough shots. The vaccine has been available for 8 years, and there have not been any reports of any kind of serious side effects. People who work odd hours may have an increased risk for type 2 diabetes. Researchers in China looked at information from 12 large studies, and they found people who worked overnight shifts had a 9% increased risk for the disease. People who had rotating shifts had a 40% increased risk for diabetes compared to people working those normal office hours. Well, this morning, leaders in the autism field will be presenting their cutting-edge research right here in Austin, all part of the 2014 Texas Autism Research Conference. It's happening today and tomorrow at the J.J. Pickle Research Campus. We'll let you know what they say at that campus and research seminar. Let's head over to Mark now for the latest on your forecast. Oh, the heat index, huh?
Oh, yeah, 100 or better, Sally, not only today but all weekend long. However, big changes may lie ahead in the forecast. We could be talking about a big cool down that lies ahead. We'll tell you all about it coming up. First Warning Weather.
And a look with your text out here over at I-35 just north of 183. Not much of an issue. Of course, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what your drive times are looking like out in Williamson County.
Well, Texas could be missing out on nearly $200 million added to its economy. How one report suggests gay marriage would help the Texas economy. Good morning, everyone. The live look right now from the Austonian weather camera on this Friday, wrapping up the last few days of July already. Getting you ready to start your weekend, but first let's get you ready to start your day. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sally Hernandez.
I'm Brian Sanders. Good morning to you. It is 5:30 now, hoping for a smooth, easy Friday commute.
You're going to get it for sure. So far, it is very quiet on the roads. We do have one wreck working that may slow drivers down to the airport, but other than that, pretty quiet overall.
Okay. All right. Any relief in sight when it comes to the humidity?
Yes, and maybe the heat too.
Okay.
Probably not for another 6, maybe 7 days, but it's there. The lights at the end of the tunnel, possibly. We'll get to more on that in a little bit. Right now, though, warm and yeah, muggy out there. 71 is your dew point, so we're still in the 70s there. That's meaning it's an oppressive feel to the air with a south-southwesterly breeze. It's been about 5 to 10 throughout much of the morning right now at 3 miles per hour and 76 degrees outside. We're in the low to mid 70s area-wide with our cooler spots located in the hill country. Good morning in Mason, you're at 72. Llano, you're there as well, and then we progressively warm up the further east you go. And by the end of the day, no matter where you are, you'll heat up to the upper 90s, perhaps in 1 or 2 spots, hitting the century mark. We'll top out at 99, we'll say, downtown Camp Mabry. Mainly sunny skies all day long. Take the sunglasses with you. And today you can leave the umbrellas at home. We're not expecting any showers to pop up. However, down the line, when those changes arrive, at the end of our 7-day forecast, we could have some rain coming into play. We'll tell you about that and if we'll cool down much coming up in First Warning Weather.
2 University of Texas football players are off the team and kicked out of their dorms following their arrest for sexual assault.
UT head coach Charlie Strong suspended Kendall Sanders and Montrell Meander after police say they assaulted a woman in Meander's dorm room. Police say the victim knew both men as friends and had consensual sex with Meander, but when Sanders showed up, police say the victim withdrew her consent. Now, the woman reportedly told Sanders no, but he is accused of continuing, as is Meander. The University Police Department says they conducted a thorough investigation, and the players, they say, did not get any special treatment.
We don't share information. It simply does not matter who committed the offense, what stature they are.
Court documents indicate the evidence in the case may include text messages the men made to each other to get their story straight during questioning, allegedly. Now, they and their attorneys had no comment after bonding out of jail.
This is not the first time Kendall Sanders has been suspended. He missed the opener last season for DWI charges that were later dismissed. But this is the team's first suspension for sexual assault allegations since the 2012 Alamo Bowl. Coach Mac Brown at the time suspended Case McCoy and Jordan Hicks the day before the bowl game after an alleged sexual assault in San Antonio. Neither man was ever arrested. No charges were ever filed. Brown then reinstated the players a few weeks later. However, Brown said the two players broke team rules and would be disciplined for that. Schools are required to tell the federal government about crimes on campus like sexual assault. An estimated 1 in 5 women will become victims during their college career. Closer to home, the official numbers only tell part of that story. UT reported to the federal government 45 forcible sexual assaults from 2010 to 2012 on and off campus. Keep in mind, if the 1 in 5 estimate is true, nearly 3,900 of UT's undergraduates could be victims.
5:32 right now, and at least one of the men believed to be behind a robbery spree here in Austin is behind bars. Police arrested 32-year-old Marcelo Christian Douglas after pulling him over during a traffic stop. Investigators say Douglas's license plate partially matched that of a car seen on surveillance video at this Texaco on South Pleasant Valley. Now, Douglas and 2 other men are accused of going inside the store, demanding money from the cashier, and then taking off. And police believe other suspects are still at large. Now, they think the group is behind other robberies in town, so we highlighted those areas for you on this map. Police say the group pulled off 8 armed robberies in the last 2 months.
A group of Austin police officers are suing their employer in court. 18 former detectives with the Organized Crime Division filed a lawsuit claiming they were replaced by younger officers last year. Back in February, KXAN spoke with one of the officers after he filed a complaint with the Texas Workforce Commission. The new civil suit also argues the detectives were replaced by primarily white officers. 3 years ago, the city of Austin was ordered to pay 29 other officers $1.5 million in damages in a similar age and race discrimination claim. An appeal of that ruling was upheld this year.
A new report suggests legalizing same-sex marriage here in Texas could boost the economy. The Williams Institute at UCLA reports that the legalization of gay marriage could have an economic impact of nearly $196 million in the first 3 years alone. Now, that number comes in part from an estimated 23,000 same-sex marriages with an average of $6,000 spent per wedding.
On things like florists, wedding venues, a lot of which helps low-income people. Remember, the low-income people are typically employees of wedding venues in food services.
Well, the report also predicts more than 1,500 jobs would be created if Texas would change the law. Now, to give you some perspective here, I wanted to show you this map. It shows where same-sex marriages have been given the green light. You can see Texas in there is in yellow, and those are states where we found a constitutional ban, but the case is still in court pending an appeal. Same-sex marriages are also not allowed in the states that we outlined for you in orange. We told you back in January how many Austin businesses and leaders say gay and lesbian tourism could mean big money for them. Austin's Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce says attracting same-sex couples would bring in more tourism dollars. And they say a typical tourist spends about $1,500 during a trip, whereas the average LGBT visitor spends closer to $2,300.
Another industry is becoming popular in Austin: education startup companies.
Globally, it's a $7 billion a year business, and beginning today, you could help launch a new product. Kate Whitehall joining us live in the studio to tell you how.
Good morning. Well, it's called Startup Weekend Education. It's sponsored by Capital Factory. That's a co-working incubator space in downtown Austin. The idea is to help educators, techies, or someone with an idea to launch a new tool that could be used for educational purposes. Now, 2 years ago, a Startup Weekend helped launch Aceable. That's the country's first driver's education course you can take on your phone. The idea is to let teens use their idle time, like time in the car with their parents, to get their course finished. This weekend's startup event is a chance for someone to get help launching their idea.
You know, after the weekend, the plan is that teams will execute on their ideas and come up with really great solutions to challenges in education.
And if you want to take part in Startup Weekend Education, it's today through Sunday. You do need to register. The cost is $99, and that includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner most days. We have a link on our website right now at KXAN.com. And this is the first time a Startup Weekend has focused just on educational tools here in Austin. And if you can't make this weekend, Capital Factory is planning to do this twice a year. Brian?
All right, thanks, Kate. Also today, the YMCA is hosting its 2014 Summer Camp Olympics here in Austin. It's happening from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Texas School for the Deaf. More than 700 campers from Travis and Hayes counties will be there, and get this, they'll compete in everything from marbles to tic-tac-toe to foot sponge relays and water slides.
All right.
Sounds fun.
Well, imagine never having to rearrange the furniture in your home ever again.
Researchers at a biorobotics lab in Switzerland are developing robots that can do this for you. The so-called Roombots can change shape and create simple furniture on demand. The modules contain batteries, motors, and a wireless connection, and they also have grippers to combine with other parts and form all kinds of furnishings. Take a look: chairs, sofas, tables. Researchers hope the mobile furniture can benefit the elderly or people with disabilities. Right now, the modules are controlled by algorithms on a PC, but the goal is to add cameras and voice recognition. Can change the whole ambiance of the house.
They're taking over, these robots.
They are.
Every day we have a story about how a robot can do something that we can do.
Yeah, I want one to mow the lawn or something like that.
Washes dishes.
There you go.
That?
How about a convertible? Transformers is around the corner. Another 10 years. We're going to be fighting robots and all kinds of stuff. It's
That's
crazy.
right.
Anyway, good morning, everyone. 5:38 right now. Let's get to the forecast this morning as we have a quiet and easygoing drive on this Friday morning. Low to mid 70s in most locations. We have one or two spots east of I-35 which have jumped into the upper 70s. But overall, no matter where you're waking up, a warm and muggy morning underneath those now quiet skies. And you can leave the umbrellas at home today. We aren't expecting any more rain showers to pop up. And in fact, you can leave them at home throughout the weekend. 99, 101, and 99. Friday, Saturday, Sunday with mainly sunny skies each and every day, so no major changes expected as we head through this upcoming weekend. High pressure building back in, nice big ridge over top, and that means that the heat will continue to build. And make sure if you're going to be outside for an extended period of time, and you're even in the sun for that matter, have the sunscreen with you. UV index will be very high this weekend. Mold count, thanks to the rain yesterday, has jumped right back up to 4,600. Likely going to be troublesome for some. Fall elm also in the picture at 55. That's a moderate level for that pollen. And check out the rainfall totals we've had so far through the month of July. This is astounding. July, one of our driest months of the year, turning out to be one of our wettest this year. 5.58 inches of rain so far this month. That's over 4 inches above average. And it pales in comparison to the 7 inches we saw in May, but still, that is a very nice total. 2 inches above its nearest competitor, which was June last month. So if we can just keep things going, which we just may, with one more cold front expected by the end of July, we could maybe make July the wettest month of the year. We'll see. Mandy, over to you.
That will be interesting to watch. And as we go over to the roads, not much to watch here. It is still very peaceful this Friday morning. We do still have an accident showing up at East Riverside just before Ben White Boulevard. And a quick look at drive times here as you travel from 183 and make your way up and over towards Williamson County here to Highway 79. 11 minutes for you. Now, southbound traffic from Westinghouse Road to Airport Boulevard looking great so far, about 19 to 20 minutes. We are seeing some of that stop and go traffic slowly building there just south of 290. Text Talk goes outside very quickly here to I-35 at Slaughter Lane. So if you're coming out of South Austin, this will be a very easy drive ahead of you. Another check at the roads in only 10.
Okay, you know what? It's just not too early to start shopping for the school year. Why experts say people here in Texas could get some of the best deals if you start shopping next weekend.
In total, 4 players away from the Longhorns football program after yesterday. Plus, Tony Romo feeling great heading into his 9th season as a starter.